Today, something happened that just changed my life. Let me share with you what that was. So, about a week ago, one of my friends on Facebook, who is also a YouTuber and a podcaster herself, she posted something about somebody else's, another YouTuber's challenge that they were running this coming week, this past week now. And it's a challenge called the Empty Pews to a Million Views Challenge. It's basically talking about digital missionaries and how can we learn some more techniques to get more views so that more people can be reached with the gospel. Okay, so as soon as I saw my friend post this challenge, the link to the Facebook group that there was, I just knew immediately that that is something that I am called to do. And so I jumped right onto it and I signed up immediately and I was really excited. And every day for the past, 4 days now, we've had daily live streams where this guy, Justin Khoe, who is this YouTuber who was running the challenge, he would share with us some really important mindsets and important techniques of how we can up our game with social media and with online digital missionary work. And I found it really, really valuable stuff. Now, the reason why I found this stuff valuable is because when I was 13 years old, I got my first dream from God, right? So it was actually about a month before I got baptized. I got baptized the day after I turned 14, and so that was at the very end of 2009. I was still 13, just nearly at the edge of turning over to 14 at the time. And as I was preparing for baptism, as I was doing Bible studies, as I was getting excited about starting this new life with Jesus, God actually gave me my very first dream from him. And I woke up from that dream knowing that at some point down the track, when I was much older looking in the dream, when I grew up, I would be specially called by God to do something where I would be sharing the gospel with many people. That's about all that I knew at the time. And I didn't share that with anybody else. And then 9 years later, so back in 2018 now, I was prayed over by somebody and they saw this vision and they said, hey, I can see that you are in this position where you are standing and leading a movement of youth. And it was very much like the dream that I'd had. I didn't have any words to put to the dream that I had when I was a kid, when I was a teenager, but now this person had seen the same thing that I'd seen, but had words around it to lead a movement of youth. And so I got a little bit more understanding 9 years later of what God was calling me into. At this point, I'd already started studying ministry and chaplaincy, and I was already moving into my first new job in that sphere. So I already knew that I had a passion for youth. I already knew that I wanted to share the gospel with young people. And so when this person said that, it made a bunch of sense, and it was just another indication of where I was heading in life. And so now, 4 years later almost from that last interaction, a lot has taken place in the meantime. In the meantime, God has called me to start this YouTube channel, and when I first started, I only posted 2 videos in the first 6 months to a year almost, and yet at the start of last year, God gave me some very specific instructions of how this YouTube channel was supposed to run. I'm supposed to post to you guys weekly, share things from the Bible, share things from my own life, all these different things. And so I was very strongly rebuked about a year ago about the fact that I wasn't being diligent, I wasn't posting, I wasn't doing what God had asked me to. But he gave me some clear instructions. He was very filled with grace and mercy for me, but he said, this is really important. He told me, you have to do this every week. You need to start right now this week. And so since then, I have been posting, I've been sharing with you guys, and it seems like you guys are enjoying it, which is really, really great. But I've only got a handful of subscribers at this point. Not that that's what this is all about, but this needs to go out to more people. The gospel needs to be shared with more people, and I know that, and it's something I'm now dedicating my life to doing. And so when about a week ago my friend shared that there was this Empty Pews to a Million Views challenge where we can go from having literally no experience or no understanding of how to do this, where I've got a year of experience now doing this regularly, we can go from this level of basically no interaction online to getting within 30 days, possibly even, 1 million people out there in the world to experience the gospel. And I just jumped straight onto it. I'm like, this is an area that I have been called to. So there's no way that I should be passing up this opportunity. Recently, in my prayer group at church, we've been reading through a book, and it's been talking about the parable of the talents that Jesus talked about in the Gospels, and it's breaking down some of these things. And so one of the things that we read just this week was that the young people especially need to take every opportunity presented to them to be educated, to have good mental faculties, to be, as tuned in with things as possible, to be as educated and eloquent, and use every talent, every gift, every opportunity that God presents to us to our best advantage for sharing the gospel. So we need to be growing as much as we can so we can be sharing. We can't just be stagnant. We can't just take the 5 talents or the 2 or the 1 that God gives us and do nothing with them, bury them in a hole in the ground. We are called unfaithful and lazy servants if we do that. No, we need to be doing what we can to multiply what God has given us. We need to be doing what we can to grow, to learn, to be educated so that we can be more effective for the gospel. Education is really important. And so when I was going through this program, and I was finding it so valuable, and I was learning so many important things, which you guys are going to see the fruits of very shortly. I'm going to be changing the way that I interact online, and you guys are going to be the first to know about that because you're already here. But you're going to be seeing a fair bit more of me if all goes well, which it should. But I'm going to be changing things up because I am now choosing to learn, choosing to put into practice those things that I know that God has called me to do, to learn and to grow. And so over the last 3 or 4 days, we've been given some very important pieces of mindset and strategy and social media strategy and all sorts of things. But that's just the tip of the iceberg of what we could learn about this topic from somebody who's already been through it for the past 10 or so years. And so when this guy, Justin Khoe, he said, hey, look, there is going to be an offer coming up on this last day. He said it from the very beginning, to go deeper, to have coaching, to be in a program where I teach you all the nitty-gritty little things and help you go through this process so that you are more effective. I just knew I wanted to be involved somehow. Now, most of you guys know that I'm a Bible worker, and Bible workers don't get paid very well. I'm very lucky and blessed that the church I work for actually pays me a bit better than the average Bible worker, so I can get through life. I have a little bit left over, but it's nowhere near enough to have the savings that I would need to invest in a program like this. Even though this is something that God has called me to, I don't always have a lot left over. And so when I saw the number that came at the bottom line of what this program was going to cost today, it's originally worth about $8,000 in US dollars, and probably more than 10,000 in Australian dollars if I were to convert the rate. But he's chopped it down to like 90% off almost, and it's only 1,000 US dollars roundabout. And I was like, that's still a lot more than I have lying around. That's really nice of him to chop it down, but I don't have that money. But I absolutely know that I need to be involved in this program. And so I was just sitting there at the end of the presentation saying, hey, you're invited to be a part of this group, but this is how much it costs. There is a financial barrier to entry, but you need to get onto it in the next 3 days to get into this group before the price jumps even higher. So I was like, God, I sat myself down on the couch and I thought about it, and I was like, God, I prayed a very deliberate prayer. I said, God, you know what you've called me to do. You know whether you want me to be in this group coaching or not. You know how much it costs, and you know how much money I have at my disposal. You know everything, and you know what? You're also God, and you have the cattle on 1,000 hills, and you can make anything happen. You have gotten me through some really interesting times financially before, and I know you can do it again. And so I left it there. And then I decided only got a few hours left today to make the YouTube video for you guys. I need to go and wash my hair and make it look okay and put my makeup on and all these things and eat some breakfast and all the things I need to get done. So I finished praying that prayer. I went off and went about the rest of my day and started thinking, like, how can I very humbly, I don't know, go on Facebook and ask my friends and family to crowdfund some money for me in the next 2.5 days, so I can get into this group. Like, I started coming up with all these ideas and I was like, I don't know how it's gonna work. I've only got a very limited time frame for a lot of things on my plate right now. How's it gonna happen? I wasn't stressed, but I was like praying, like, how are we gonna make this work? And so when I got myself all put together, I came back and I went on my computer, I looked up a few things and I checked my phone, and when I checked my phone, somebody I do not know had messaged me. Now, this person works for the church organization that I'm a part of, and they work for the media entity of this church organization in this part of the world. And this person contacted me and said, hey, I noticed that you were in this group with Justin Khoe today, and I've seen your YouTube channel, and I was just wondering if you're interested in joining that. And if you are, if you haven't yet signed up, I'd like to make you an offer. I'd like to pay for the whole $1,000 for you to go through this program if you collaborate with us and you help us with our mission as well. And I was just like overwhelmed that God had answered my prayer so immediately. This came about an hour. I checked my phone an hour after the message came to me. So the message probably came through right as soon as I finished that prayer and I went about the rest of my things that I needed to do. The answer came through so immediately. I didn't have to ask. I didn't have to beg anyone. I just need to know exactly what God had called me to do. I need to have confidence in the fact that if He wanted me in this, He would get me there. I didn't need to have all the money lying around, but some things I did needed to have. I needed to know my calling, first of all. I need to recognize God's leading. And so when I saw this opportunity, I committed, I jumped in, I listened to these live streams the last few days, and I just knew that God would want me in this kind of space because of where He's already led me, because of the calling that I know He's already put on my life for the past, half my life, 13 years now. So I needed to have those things, but also something I needed to have was a track record of faithfulness, of diligence, and of obedience to God's word. Because if I hadn't been putting out these videos that you guys have been watching for the past year and a bit, if I hadn't been doing that diligently, this person who messaged me, who had checked out my YouTube channel, if he'd only seen a couple here and there, very sparsely, hadn't, grown at all, then he might not have decided that this person is worth us investing in to go to this next level, to give this person the training that they need to be of value in our organization. And so because God gave me some very strict instructions a year ago, and I felt the fear of God in me every week since then, every Friday where I am saying to myself and praying, God, I don't know what to talk about. I don't know if I have anything good to say today. Are you sure that you want me to do this? And yet every time I manage to come up with something and put it out there for you guys. I am diligent and I am faithful. And sometimes even if I put something out there that's not great and it's actually somewhat harmful to people who will view this, if God gives me the indication to take it down, I have taken it down because I am choosing to be faithful and diligent and obedient to God's word. And because of this, because of the things that I have done in response to God's calling, God has actually seen that I am faithful enough to get to the next level, to be invested in, to get this training that I know is so needed for the places that God is calling me to. So I really wanted just to share that with you guys today. So if any of you out there have not given your life to Jesus, trust me, it is the best thing that you could do in your life. So please join me now and say this prayer of committing your life to Jesus. Say, dear Jesus, I know that my life is the best in your hands. I give my life to you right now, and I ask you to lead me and to give me guidance. Amen. And now, if any of you out there have already prayed that prayer, who are already on this journey, but you don't know what your calling is, Lord, I just encourage you right now to start praying and start seeking what God's calling is on your life. Start giving your life completely over to Him in every area, submitting every area of sin, every area of distraction in your life, and just giving yourself completely over to Him and asking Him, where do you want me to be? What is it that I need to be learning right now? What are some things that you want me to be doing so I can grow in the calling that you've placed in my life, whether I know what it is right now or not? And then I want you to pray some really big prayers and expect an answer from God. There is a passage in Isaiah chapter 65, verse 24. And it says something like this: before you call, I will answer. Before you pray, I have heard. And while you are yet speaking the words from your mouth, I have answered you. So I really want to encourage you guys with that today, that before you even pray, before you even know what you need to ask God for, He has already got it set up and ready for you, ready to go. He's already got those answers ready to send to you as soon as you pray. As soon as you're humble enough to recognize that you can't do this on your own and you need His help, He's got that help ready to go for you. Now, I'd also just like to encourage you to like and subscribe and share and all those kind of things. You know what you need to do. And also, I'd really like to encourage you to go check out Justin Khoe's Facebook and Instagram and all of his different social media, his YouTube, his podcast, all those different things. I'll put some links down below for you to go check those out. That is all from me today. I really wanted to share this amazing thing that's happened today that has changed my life, and it's going to change the direction of this ministry, and you guys are going to be seeing a change in the next coming months, and I really look forward to growing with you guys together. Love you guys. I'll see you next Friday. Bye.